Hi, my name is Stella Kittrell.
And I'm Lisa K. Satchell.
Welcome to the Repost podcast.
Welcome to the pod.
We're your hosts.
Yeah.
We're having a kiki kind of day.
We are a kiki, hee-hee. Very demure, very mindful.
Oh my gosh, Jules. Wait, before we talk about Jules, is this too...
There is a little peak, but it's fine.
Okay. Sorry, my chichis are not my chochos.
Your chi-chis are out, but your chocho is not, and that's good.
First of all, shout out to Jules. We love you very much. And I'm very proud of you because we were having a conversation like 1 month ago about all this. And not overnight. She's been doing this forever. It just happened. Yeah. And I'm very, very proud of you. And I can't wait to see all the successful things you continue to do.
I love that. We love friendships.
Yeah.
Special ones.
F is for friends who do stuff together. U is O.
For uranium bombs. Remember the second part?
No, I don't think I got to the second verse.
Fair. It's when Plankton starts singing it. And is for no survivors.
Yeah, but that was a distant memory. You brought it back.
Yeah. I know a lot of SpongeBob stuff.
I would like to say that I would not like to go on that side quest about SpongeBob, but I think we should circle it back one day.
Okay.
Because you picked a really good topic this week, and usually I'm not the one on track, but I am dying to talk about today's episode. So Can you introduce?
Today we're talking about public perception. Nope.
Find it. I'm
finding it. Today we're talking about public personas versus authenticity. Okay, so before I get into what we're talking about today, last episode we talked about celebrities we've met and stuff like that, and there's one I forgot to mention that just like came to my mind. You know how things are like in the recesses of your memory?
Yeah.
And then like they come back up. And then they just like come back up in time. So I one time met Justin Baldoni. He
Love him.
Was the sweetest. I was literally just an intern. It was my first summer in LA. And I haven't even told you this full story. So I was just an intern. I was interning for the CW, and it was right after, it was right around the Jane the Virgin time.
We love Rafael Solano.
Oh, do we? Speaking of men I find attractive, he's a married man with children, so it's fine. But love that man. So he was so sweet. He shook my hand. He was like, "Oh my gosh, it's so nice to meet you." And the guy who I was working for, my executive, he was really sweet too, because he was like, "Oh, you should go say hi," because he knew I loved the show. So it was really sweet. So I got to go say hi. I wasn't even in the fiction department. What do you call it? Scripted department. I was in the non-scripted department. Mm-hmm. So I had no business talking to this man for any reason. It was at upfronts. Do you know what upfronts are? Okay, so in the TV industry, they have this thing called upfronts, which is like, I feel like I'm getting too into it.
I like it because I feel like I just YOLO'd a lot of my producing career, and I feel like I never learned proper things. So I would like to know what you're talking about.
Okay, so upfronts is this thing where basically, I don't know if they still do them post-COVID. I know at least definitely pre-COVID. It was like every major network, and streaming services may have messed this up, but every major network would have a thing where it's like, here's what's coming this season, this like fall, this spring. These are the things we're rolling out this year. And it would happen during the summer for most things. So the CW had theirs. So they're introducing all these new shows. Have you ever watched Dynasty?
No, I've heard of it though.
Yeah, I've heard of it too. I didn't watch it
Wait,
either.
I have a side question to fill in the gaps. So was your internship at CW?
Yes.
Okay.
So my internship was at the CW. And they were introducing this new show they had called Dynasty or The Dynasty, something like that. Liz Gillies from Victorious was in it. But yeah, they were just rolling out all their new stuff and also bringing back, like, talking about stuff they have going on, like new seasons of stuff. So Rafael, what's his last name on the show?
Rafael Solano
Was there, aka Justin Baldoni. Anyway, so I go to meet him, and he shakes my hand. He was so nice. He was so sweet. He was like, "Oh, it's so nice to meet you." And I was just telling him how much I love the show. He was so cool about it. He was so sweet. He hugged me. He smells good. He's strong. It was a nice hug. So it was very sweet, and like, he did not have to be nice to me at all.
Right.
And I remember I told you my executive, I was in the unscripted department. I think he had done something like on a show or something for the unscripted department, like as a guest star. But he was like so nice to my executive. Again, did not have to be.
Right.
Like, he was just super sweet. And so it just made me think about like the importance of like maintaining character, because also when you think about him and his directing, like he did 5 Feet Apart. Did you see that?
No.
So 5 Feet Apart. Like, I'm going on all these like
I love the side quest.
anyways, so 5 Feet Apart was
wait. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so 5 Feet Apart was a movie.
And very intense movie.
Right. He directed
He
that.
did very, very well.
And he kept like this girl's story of it was about. Like he kept her at the forefront of it, asking her questions, asking her opinion, like still talks to her and honors her to this day. I think she passed on, but like is still like very much like this was the mission of the movie and this is what I brought to the screen. So when we get to like it ends with us and him still keeping like the DV at the front of it and the importance of it. And I love, there's this quote he did, I'm sure everybody's heard it at this point, where it's like, the question shouldn't be why do women stay? It should be why do men harm?
Right.
And I was like, that's such a powerful thought. Mm-hmm. So I've just always loved his character. And I just think it's nice to know that his public persona and what he's showing to people is the same thing that I saw when I met him for 5 minutes ago. Max. Yeah, years ago, too. Right. That's a good point. I didn't think about that part. I was just talking about how short it was and how not unimportant. I was just an intern. Like, he didn't have to be nice to me. He could have been like, oh, nice to meet you. Glad you like the show. And moved on. Right. And that still would have been perfectly fine and perfectly nice. But he was so, like, present. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was so cool. So that just made me think about that.
That is, I don't know. You don't really know who Chappell Roan is yet. Mm-mm. I'm working on it.
Yeah, so tell me.
Break Chappell is kind of going through something similar, like with her character, and she is the same through and through from who she's been. She used to be more, before she was a pop star, she was very active, like as the girl's girl on TikTok.
Okay, but, I didn't know that.
Right, but kind of, I think, you know, she's with a label now, so I think now it's just like a machine.
Yeah.
But the one thing Chappell has always stayed true to, like much to your point of Justin, is her character. And 2 nights ago, she had posted a video about just basically calling out a little bit of inappropriate behavior from fans, like stalking. I know she had mentioned something in Rolling Stone a couple months ago about how people had found out where like her sister worked and were like harassing. It was really intense. And she's doing something that I think is so revolutionary for the celebrity industry and culture. She is saying, just because I am a celebrity, like there are certain things that are just not normal. Like there's not, she made a lot of good parallels. She was like, if I was a random woman on the street, you wouldn't ask me to do this or that. Or if you see that I'm busy, you wouldn't ask to do this or that. Yeah. And old Hollywood and old Hollywood style was, you're a celebrity that comes with a job. Mm-hmm. But there's this awesome movement you can see now with everyone kind of like on her side, like, yeah, like creepy behavior, I don't care who you are, is creepy behavior. Right. And right now in TikTok around this discussion, because, you know, people are just discussing what she said, you can see this shift in real time of people being like, maybe 5 years ago would have been like, oh, she's such a diva, whatever. Yeah. You can literally see people now say, wow, girl, I'm so proud of you for standing up for yourself. And yes, you are human. And yes, you should have boundaries. And I'm so proud of you for protecting your peace through all this.
Yeah.
And I don't think we've ever seen a pop star that has been so vocal from the beginning of their career and like pivotal points of their career to be like, I don't care if this gets out of hand, I'm quitting or whatever. Right. And, you know, there's stuff on that. But to be just so true to themselves, I think goes back to like, we're in an age now where your character is going to shine. And because there is such a veil being lifted between like celebrity culture and viewers and just for lack of a better term, us average people. So I really like it because it's like you're gonna get exposed for exactly who you are and your true character.
Yeah. And I think also with the rise of like the internet and us like recording everything, I think that definitely plays a part in it. Because when you think about it, there are people who like, hey, remember a few years ago when this happened? And then things come back up and it's like, oh no. So either you have to say, hey guys, I've changed since then, or you show us that you haven't. Yeah. And then we're just like, but babe, what about the thing you just said in coordinates with the thing you said 2 years ago? Yeah. Like, it's just interesting.
I think that's a big thing about like the internet too, is we're kind of still in the newer years of it, right? Facts. And so I'm going to be interested to see in the next 10 years how public perception of people changing and growing. Because when people do stuff online now and then maybe pop back up in the media like a year or two later, you can see all the comments who are like, okay, they've apologized, or okay, like we're past this or whatever. So, but that's not really like the first thought of most people. The first thought is, no, you did this. Yeah. So I'm interested to see within the next 10 years, like, as people, more generations roll into, hey, we grew up on the internet, like not just watching it, but like being on the internet, how people might be relaxed a little bit more, people's digital footprint, or Someone made a really good point today, and I don't know the creator, excuse me, but they were like, when the OG creators were starting out, vlogging, doing YouTube, they didn't have anyone before them to learn from mistakes.
Yeah.
So they made a lot of mistakes, and they didn't have a lot of boundaries, and they just said stuff. As to now, all the new waves of creators can be like, oh, I remember when so-and-so did that. Let's not do that. And so where's the grace, right? Because that person, if they were to start being a content creator today, probably probably wouldn't have done what they did 10 years ago. So like where there's already like this grace there for like creators, but they're seeing everyone on one plane. They're seeing everyone as one creator. Like you're a creator, not realizing that this creator had so much more to learn from than the person who started this 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah. I think what you said about grace is definitely important too. Because I was just thinking, like, if we could all just have more grace for each other, wouldn't the world in general just be a better place?
Like online or in real life?
In general. Like, all of it. Because think about it. Like, if I posted something crazy in high school, we talked about this a little bit in one of our episodes, where it's like how you were talking about growing up online, where it's like people having grace for the fact that you were growing up, I think is important. Like you just said, like I made a mistake 5 years ago when I was 5 years ago. How old was I? 24. Like, you know what I mean? Or I made a mistake when I was in high school and now I'm in college. Or I made a mistake when I was in college and now I'm a grown adult. Like stuff like that. I think it's just so interesting that we just like don't give space for that. We're just like, wrong is wrong. Yeah, it was wrong. But what were you doing 5 years ago?
Or my favorite is when people comment like, say you're a creator making a video like that. Like, what was I doing 5 years ago? My favorite comments are, I'm so glad I wasn't on the internet 5 years ago. Like, I'm like, right. That's exactly the point. I think there is, I think there's a lot of space for grace on the internet, but I am also seeing the transition because it's different. It's like some people want to give grace for some things and some things are just inexcusable, although they may be in the same parameter of like 20 years ago, whatever it is. So I'm just interested to see how it plays out.
Yeah, and I think now because people are being very, like, intentional about, like, here's the person I see you as, and here's the person you're presenting, like, how those can be two different things, like...
Can we talk about that?
You're going to talk about it?
No, I need you to finish your thought.
No, I was just going to say, I think that people are now melding the two into one. Like, when I think about OG, like, YouTubers, I think about how now they're being more themselves on the internet than they were before. Like, when I think about, like, two of my faves are Remy Cruz and Alicia Marie.
I love Remy.
Yeah, they're so cute. The two of them, like, were, like, talk about how they used to be, like, so poppy this, poppy, like, oh, blah, 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 blah. And now they're, like, y'all, today was rough. Like, you know what I mean? They're just more authentic now than they were 10 years ago in the oversaturated, like, videos and, like, Schoolisha and, like, Remy. Like, one of the things I love that Remy did, it's actually been a few years at this point. When she was on her weight loss journey at first, she would make these what I eat in a day videos. And she was like, she did a video recently as in like a year or two, where she was like me doing it now. And so she followed her what I eat in a day from when she was on her weight loss journey as to now when she's just trying to accept her body the way it is. And she was like, honestly, y'all, I wouldn't even eat all the food. Like, I would throw it out. And I was like, wow, what a powerful thing to, first of all, share and be honest about. Two, she was like, even if I ate all the food in this video, I would still be hungry and I would just starve myself. And like, just being honest with us about like what was really happening. And I was like, wow, like she never would have said that when she first made that video to now. And I think that's so, one, amazing to share and be honest about. But two, like I think the new place that we're in now is giving people the space to like not put up this front, because it's like the front doesn't matter anymore. Like, because people are going to find out the truth anyways. So why put up a front?
I feel really, really bad for the OG YouTubers, because that's when the OG YouTubers were popping is when I started content creation. So like 2015, 2016. And everything was so perfect, oversaturated, perfect, directed, edited. And these girls are like young 20s, if not late teens. Yeah. And there was such a pressure because we went from a transition from like television to the internet. And in that transition, everything you see on TV, from interviews to everything, is all curated, all filtered through, all approved. Nothing is authentic, quote unquote. And to move into the internet, the OG YouTubers were stuck in that in between. And I think it's cool because they got to create this really beautiful world. I know we talk about this a lot. I love the idea of creating your dream world, but there was such a pressure on them. I'm not surprised by your story by Remy.
Yeah.
Because like their content is good, but was really good too.
Yeah.
And they were just under different pressures. The standards, I can tell you this, when I started content creation, I was in the midst of a lot of actors because I thought I wanted to act. And then I was like, oh, I can just do content creation because that's accessible. I was a 340-pound girl in LA. That was never supposed to happen. So when I realized that there were so many, there were so many standards that were taken from TV that were applied to the internet in the beginning of like understanding and hiring internet creators and stuff. Those same standards were applying to creators, whether it's looks, weight, affiliations, anything. But now, after COVID, for sure, after COVID was the biggest blessing for a lot of creators because you no longer needed to be in LA or New York. You could be
for sure
anywhere. So that transition in COVID really did broaden the accessibility of becoming an influencer, because an influencer was essentially a glorified actor, kind of. They just weren't acting. They were, but everything was scripted. Like all the reality shows people were watching were scripted. Everything was scripted. So
they were acting out parts of their lives as real people.
Right. And it was very curated. So now we've progressed so much, back to what Lisa was saying. Like you just got to show up as you, which is honestly but then if you're not masking and hiding behind something, then it also can be exposing. Yeah,
I think it's a very vulnerable thing to share your life with the internet. But I think to make this like practical for like anybody listening, like it just comes down to me sometimes like integrity. Like who are you when nobody's watching?
Right.
Like, and like what do you value? How do you show up? Like you talked about this in another episode we just did too, about how like showing up as Stella Williams at the time. Like, you know what I mean? Versus like now where it's like you're the same person. But at all times.
And I wasn't always.
How did you get there?
How did I get to them being me?
Yeah, how did you get to like, because I recently just came to that too, where it's like I'm confident in myself in every space. How did you get there?
I was more so exhausted at the masking. I was exhausted at the performance. It was a constant performance. And it only became exhausting because I had no parameters of when I was working. So I was working about 17 hours a day, every day. Jesus. Like the rolling of my career.
There are only 24 hours in a day. My God,
I mean, my career is good now too. But I mean, when I was just like posting like insanely, I was just working 17 hours a day. So what that meant for me is that I was on 17 hours a day. So that became me. Because when did I ever get to shut off? By the time it's time to shut off, it's time to go to bed. And so scaling back on work, I remember I had made a vision board some year and I was like, God, I need balance. Be careful what you ask for because you get it in, maybe not the way you thought. But I had asked for more balance between work and my work-life balance. And then last year, I like stopped posting for work. And this is what's so crazy. Last year, my one prayer for the year was, God, I don't want to do content creation full time anymore. Like I don't want to pay. I think I said I don't want to pay my bills from content creation, which seems insane because I was like at the height of everything. But I had so much pressure on me. And I felt like I was missing life. I felt like life was passing me by. And what I was realizing is no matter what I was accomplishing in content creation, the things that I truly desired out of life, I wasn't working toward them at all. And so when I scaled back and then in the same token, I was like, God, I need more balance. I fell in love and I got more to myself. And I remembered parts of me I'd let go or dropped off because it wasn't cool for the internet or whatever. So, and I also got to grow and develop a lot of parts of myself, like my style and my values in clothing and my image. And
I'm getting emotional.
Why?
Because I feel similar. Ew.
Tears water the lilies of the valley.
Jesus. Oh my God. I feel like I've gone on a similar journey, not obviously in the same way at all. But when I started working for a church, I've talked about this a little bit. Yeah. I felt the pressure to like be on a lot, you know, because it's like you're on, and it wasn't all self-imposed, but I will say it was at least 80% self-imposed. Like, I don't think anyone told me, Lisa, you need to always be put together in front of people.
Right.
But I think I felt that my social media had to change. My everything had to change to just be this like reflection of someone who's on staff at a church, who has it put together, who only talks about God and doesn't have other interests. Like, you know what I mean? Not that, because God isn't everything. Don't get it twisted. But you know what I mean? Like, who just doesn't post about other things, who doesn't do this, who doesn't do that. And I put all these boundaries on myself that in the past year, when I wasn't working at a church for, it's been a year, like...
Wow, that went by really fast.
Truly.
Yeah.
But in the past year when I was not working at a church, like, I just feel like I found me again. Mm-hmm. And so now, as I want to work in ministry again, I can see God being like, okay, but let's not, like, throw away this past year. Just because you want to work in ministry again doesn't mean you need to change everything about yourself again. And I don't think that was ever part of his design. I think that was something that, like, I just did to fit in somewhere. But I think to your point about, like, finding who you are for real, like, and being that person all the time, like, I've done such a good job at showing up into rooms as myself lately that it's like I never want to lose that.
I'll never forget us at Philosophy. Like, you were just yourself.
Girl, was a surprise to me too.
But can we also talk about this?
Yeah.
The conversation is making me realize, like, there are so moments with Lisa and I's friendship where we're like, oh, this is what God put us together. And this is, like, another one of those moments for me. Because I didn't realize how similar, like...
our journeys have been.
Yeah, different careers, but same...
literally at the same time, too, which is nuts.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
That's so interesting. And I still struggle with that, too, because... not to get too deep, because we don't know what the future lies, only God, but now that I'm being pulled back into what I left...
me too.
Is it coming together?
Yeah.
We can't say nothing, but...
all of us, it's so annoying, because we're like, we can't say too much.
But, I mean, like, we're going to be the first to share when we can.
Oh, dope, for real.
But do you see what God's doing?
Yeah,
so,
it's
like,
crazy.
I don't know, 2-3 weeks, not even 2-3 weeks, maybe like a month or two. God's been telling me for a year and a half, why'd you leave fashion? Multitude of reasons I did, but they were all my reasons. And that whole time, God's like this. I had literally tried everything under the sun.
Yeah.
I was like, I think I told Lisa, I was like, I applied to like 2 jobs last year. Like, God's like, what are you doing? Need you in fashion, need you in fashion. I lost all confidence in my fashion. And then I finally had a breakthrough moment like a month or 2 ago. And I was like, no, I really need to do this and do this with the strength of God and not mine. I literally remember sitting on my bed. I was like, God, I cannot do this by myself. I've clearly tried. And jumping back in, it's like I can see him restoring everything I've lost.
Yeah.
But there is a learning curve because my first instinct is to do what I've done before that worked.
Yeah.
And I do feel like everything I've learned the last year and a half, chilling and vibing and growing, I have to now be so intentional about applying it to what I'm going through. And I mean... yeah. Like, I'm sure you're like, so praying throughout the day, sure. But, like, it's been so intense because now I feel like I feel like an old version of me would have felt tested, right? Like, I'm putting you back in the fire. What are you going to do? Mm-hmm. And to some extent, I do feel like that sometimes. But I'm quite literally seeing everything be restored before my eyes. But not only that, I'm seeing... I don't even know if I want to say this, Lisa, but I'm going to say it because welcome to the podcast. I had a moment either today or yesterday where I was like, God, I hate this because I'm no longer talking about you. Like, my biggest thing is I never want to be like a Christian creator. There's so much pressure. Someone called me an ultra Christian the other day. Like, oh,
what does that even mean?
Exactly. I was like, you're calling me an ultra Christian. She was like, you're an ultra Christian posting this, whatever. And I was like, this is exactly why I did not want to become a Christian content creator, quote unquote. And I remember having this feeling yesterday or today. This camera better cut off in the middle of me about to cry because that's so ugly. So
I just did it.
I know I had the thought today, God, I don't want this without you. But yesterday I had this seed planted in my head about why I'm grateful none of my content about God created me in a new platform because I didn't want to be the Christian content creator. I don't feel called. I feel my life, I'm called to share what God can do through your life, not necessarily share like the Bible or share whatever, unless it comes up naturally or I'm told to. But I don't feel like that's my calling to like go through a Bible with the whole internet or whatever. I feel like my life is the testimony and I have to do the things I'm called to do so you can see how God can work through any situation. Now, in saying that, I had a moment yesterday where I was like, oh my gosh, my career, like, restoring isn't the content about you, God. And, like, that hurt. And so, like, I did what I do, and I had a God thought, and I posted this video. By the way, I'm about to be a DJ.
I saw.
Yeah. But I posted that knowing that it was going to lose the steam of what I'm called to do. Like, I felt, what am I trying to say? I felt called to make that video, but I knew before posting this, you talking about God is going to slow down the momentum that's building right now. And it did. That video, like, I was getting so many hundreds of thousands of views. I posted a video about God, and it, like, barely tapped 1,000. And then I've been sitting on that since yesterday. And today I was like, God, I don't want this without you. I'm not going to shut up about you.
Right.
That's not going to happen.
Right.
So that's a tough area. And we'll see how this develops. We'll see what it turns into. But it's tough because it's authentic and it's what I love. And it's a pillar of mine if we're going to talk about content pillars. But I was so in the world before, and I'm scared of, like, going back. And at what point is this, like, I'm right now in a season of, like, I know I'm yapping, but I have to, like, do what I'm called to do, but not become of the world again.
Yeah.
And, yeah, that's where I am.
But I think there's a way to trust God that you can do both.
Well, yeah, that's what I told God today. I was like, I need to do what you see.
Yeah.
Because if you're not calling me to be a minister, cool, but you can minister through me. So let's do it.
I think the thing that's hard is, like, because I went through this too as someone who does feel called to ministry. I went through well, if it's not about God, then I'm not doing it right. And if it's like, if it is about God, then I can't do this, that, or the third.
That's
like,
what made me think about it when you said that.
Yeah, all the boundaries we put on ourselves, when first of all, God is boundless.
Oh,
that's the first thing.
Not
and these
too
labels
much.
of Christian content creator, I need to do this. I need to, like, I think God, literally the Bible says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. And then the verse after that says, don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will have its own worries. Today's trouble is enough for today.
Right.
Basically, God is like, I just need you to do the next step. You felt led to make that video? Bet. Dope. Make the next video. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you felt led to make the video about God. You felt led to make the video about fashion. You felt led to make the video. Like, literally, it does. I think we overcomplicate it when we try to get to the big picture and not focus on the next step, because God already has the big picture.
Right. And we can't stop it.
Literally, all we can do is focus. All we can do is do the next step. So, and that's why I always talk to you about, like, I don't like when you, like, pigeonhole yourself, because God doesn't pigeonhole you. That's literally not how he works. So, not too much on my girl, not too much on my girl, but, like, in general, all of us, I feel like we're all just like, well, this is the niche I have to fit in, or this is the person I have to be in order to do this thing. When I'll take it back to myself, like, God is just showing me, like, oh God, it's happening again. You, the way that I made you is for this. You, the way that I've made you and the things I brought you through, can do this. And so there's been some, for me lately, it's been like imposter syndrome mixed with, like, I just feel so honored by the next step that is possible. Like, all that stuff just piling up. And I'm just so excited and so thankful. But I know that I just need to keep being obedient to the next step. Like, just take the next step. Stop trying to paint the whole staircase. Take the first step. That's my thought.
And brought me back to Jules. Jules had posted a video today. Obviously, I'm stalking you. I'm so proud of you again. But Jules posted a video today with a sound. I believe the sound was from Abraham Hicks. And I know she's not, she's more spiritual. I don't know if she believes in God or not. But same concept is, like, you're literally perfect the way you are right now. And the more I'm becoming confident in that, because I used to think about that statement very superficially. Like, oh, I'm fine. Like, I don't need to lose weight, whatever. But no, like, you as a person are fine the way you are right now. I feel so empowered by that, because I feel like a lot of times when we don't maybe make the quote unquote right step or feel like we could have done something better, maybe sure, but I feel like when we start to self-deprecate, we make the situation worse.
Yeah.
And just having more love, and I guess word of the episode is grace for yourself. I just feel like it's so much more empowering. Like, in my life right now, I'm definitely in a season of, like, I'm gonna use Lisa's word, holistically. I am I'm the most confident I've ever been in me. And I think that goes back to what you said earlier too, about just showing up as yourself all the time, every time, the good, the bad, the whatever, because that's all perception anyway. Yeah, I don't know. God's doing his big one. And that's the other thing. You always have to remind yourself, God is God. You cannot help God. Mm-hmm. You cannot rush God. You cannot take place of God. Like, you are not God. And I feel like sometimes we make gods of ourselves trying to serve God. And
that was a bar.
Yeah.
Stella does this thing where she'll like rush past it. We make ourselves God by trying to serve God when we're trying to serve God. Is that what you said?
Yeah. But can I tell you where that comes from?
Yeah.
I do this thing all the time. And if you ever watch my YouTube videos now, you're going to see it. So I do this thing where I know Holy Spirit wants to say something through me. Mm-hmm. And I don't know I'm trying to, back to being self-service, I'm trying to figure out what's about to flow through me. Mm-hmm. And then I ramble, and then it will come through. Mm-hmm. That was like a live action.
You should pause and sit in the thing that you said, though. Because I do that. I do similarly. Like on my other podcast, Purpose Looks Good. I just did an episode and I said something I did not plan to say. Mm-hmm. What did I say? It was something about, God doesn't do anything to hurt you. He just does things to grow you. And I was like, oh my God, a bar. And I like paused and I was like, what does that really mean? And then I kept talking. Like, what did I really say? Mm-hmm. You should try that.
All right, let's think about it. Okay, I thought about it.
Say it. No, it can be that quick.
So my thought about what I said about, like, we can make gods of ourselves is that if we ever feel so self-righteous that we need to take control back of what we're doing, then that is an area of growth we can have in our faith to understand that God can handle the imperfect times too.
Yeah.
And God's going to use everything, and God knows everything. Mm-hmm. So chill.
Mm-hmm. That's what I meant. You did a great job.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. I actually want to start journaling.
I need to. I had a thing I did a bingo board for the year.
Yeah.
And one of them was to do 50 journal entries. I've done 4. And it is quite literally.
4?
Thank you. But it is quite literally August. So.
Almost September.
Yeah. So I need to do better. I need to do more.
Yeah.
But I did do 4.
Do more. Demure.
For me, when I think about the, basically, for lack of a better term, making a god out of yourself, I think about how I think I can save everybody. And, like, the heart behind that is, like, it's good of, like, I want to help everybody. I want to be there for everybody. But it's not beneficial to me. Like, and it doesn't help me, and it doesn't help pour into me. And also, like, if only God can do something, there's a scripture that says, one plants, one waters, but it's God who causes it to grow. So making myself a god is like me, like, okay, grow. Okay, go ahead. Okay, come on. Okay, come on. But I literally can't even do that.
Can I tangent off that?
Sure.
What I love is that we as humans could put every ounce of something, we could water something with every part of our being. We could fertilize it, take care of it, tend to it. It will not grow until God's ready for it to grow. Mm-hmm. And that is probably my favorite concept about life, because there's so much about life we don't even see that we're being either protected from or to grow into. And I love the thought of those moments in life where we're just kind of humbled, like, yeah, you did everything you thought you could do, but it's me who does it.
Yeah.
There was a moment last year, I got invited to Paris Fashion Week. I was doing everything. My feed looked beautiful. Like, I was on top of the world. And
wearing
it was
Versace.
Wearing Versace. And I just remember having this feeling like, oh, I have officially, because before I was like, oh, I just need to put effort in. I need to put effort in. And that moment, I remember, like, came back from Fashion Week. I was like, no, I literally put in all my effort. This train is not moving until God's ready for it to move. Mm-hmm. And I remember having this feeling of like, dang. And then I was like, all right, well. And then I just like had this new, in that season, I just learned this whole new revelation. Like, it don't matter really what you do. Like, again, back to my point earlier, God doesn't need your help to bless you. Mm-hmm. So
you just need your obedience, though.
Correct. Oh my gosh, can I shout out this creator?
The Bible says God is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. And I think the most beautiful part about that verse is he's a rewarder of those that seek him. It doesn't say he's a rewarder of those that do all the right things. It doesn't say he's a rewarder of those that read the Bible every day. It doesn't say he's a rewarder of those that don't curse or have sex or gossip or listen to secular music. We are so focused on judgment, telling each other what we're doing wrong, that we really not tapped in. God said all you have to do is seek me. He's so gracious and merciful. He's just looking for someone who's trying. You don't have to get it right. He rewards you for seeking him.
I have a lot of thoughts.
I know you have thoughts, but can I run through my comment? Okay, so I had commented because I'm literally just had this revelation. So I was like, wait, this is it. I've been seeking but denying my practices. So I do this Bible study very publicly every week, and I've been so behind. I've not wanted to read the Bible in like a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks as of tomorrow. That's insane. Anyway, I was like, okay, basically I said he still blessed me, whatever. So what happened was 2 weeks ago, I just decided I didn't want to read my Bible. And I know what happened in hindsight because I've made myself read it since. It was like about Jesus's death. Like
It's a tough one.
But it's like, okay, but I'm going through all the gospels. So it's like happening all the time.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I'm
it's
like,
tough.
I cannot listen to this one more time. And then I got a beautiful word about that, but we'll save that for maybe a faith-based podcast. But I had a thought. I was denying everything, but I was still seeking God. I was still like in prayer. I was still having this connection. I could still hear God. It was confusing because I was like, well, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. So I had this self-imposed guilt. I'm like, oh, I should be blah, blah, blah. And then it hit me when I watched her video. It was so powerful to me because I've literally had so many blessings in the last 2 weeks without doing my typical normal stewardship or practices, just having an off couple weeks, right? But I've been so bountiful, and it's just, I don't feel like it feels like one, I didn't earn this. Oh, maybe that's a thought. What did Lisa say? Sit with my thoughts. A lot of stuff I feel like I earn. Let me sit on that for past this episode. But go ahead. That messed me up.
I have so many, many more thoughts now.
Yeah.
My thoughts about that video is, I think something I want to add to what she said is the practices, the practical things you do to, like reading your Bible, not cussing, not gossiping, all that. I think people get it twisted when they say, oh, I don't do that because I'm a Christian. You shouldn't do that because you're trying to be like Jesus. It's not about your faith. It's about getting closer to God. Like she just said, I am seeking God. I'm seeking to be more like him. And in order for me to be more like him, I can't do those things.
Right.
And it's more about putting boundaries on yourself than it is about
A rule.
judging someone else. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's not like, well, you cuss, you're not a Christian. It's like, I don't cuss because I know that my mouth is powerful. Like literally me personally, there was a time in high school, I cursed this one girl out bad. I used to curse all the time in college, high school. It was really recent adulthood that it got better. And it's, she still dabbles. Yeah. She's working on it. But I know the power of my words. Like, my words can encourage somebody or they can literally make a girl cry. Like, and I don't want to do the make a girl cry, so I'm just not going to curse. Like, I'm going to work on not cursing. So I think, but then there are times, like, where you just don't have it. Like, there are times where you're like, I am tired. I am worn down by life. And God still loves you in those moments, even when, hey, you may fall and you might fornicate. Sorry, have sex. I get so King James Version sometimes. You may fall and you may have sex. You may fall and you may curse. You may fall and you may be like, I'm just going to gossip today. Like, you may fall. But a man falls and gets back up 10, falls 9 times, get up 10.
Don't slide by that. Hand me my Bible. What are we talking about right now?
You want me to look it up?
Yeah, I need to hear that. First of all, back to me and Lisa. I'm a very physical print person, and she's looking it up on her phone. So
okay, for a righteous man, this is Proverbs 24:16.
So a righteous person falls 7 times, he will get
start over.
Oh, you want me to read it?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love class presentations. Though a righteous person falls 7 times, he will get up. Wait, I thought we don't want to be righteous. No, we seek righteousness.
We want to be righteous.
But we can't.
What do you mean?
Can we be righteous?
Yes.
How?
By being more like Jesus.
Does the act of attempting to be more like Jesus make us
it's
righteous?
on the road to righteousness.
Right. That's my point.
Right. So
we're always going to be on the road. We never reach the
Yeah.
destination, do we?
in theory, you reach it in some areas.
Wow.
Like you can be okay, so like for example, right? Like Abraham in the Bible, like he was found righteous, so he got the blessing of I'm gonna bless you with many, many sons.
Because it's your heart.
Yes.
Wow.
But also like found righteous in like the practices that she was talking about and that we're talking about. It's like you try to keep them as best you can. It's not like you're like, nah, I don't want to do that. But like you're like trying your best to keep them. So even like she's right. Like God's love is not limited to I read my Bible every day, I do this, I do that, I do that. However, like when our heart gets closer to him, it makes you want to do those things more. Like it's the process of righteousness, holiness, sanctification, all that.
Here's what's scary. Okay, though a righteous person falls 7 times, he'll get up, but the wicked will stumble into ruin. How do you know you're not wicked? We're not Jesus.
Because you're striving to be like Jesus. Wicked is like, I'm out here and I don't care. Wicked is like, I'm not following
I'm
God,
a perfectionist, so I need someone to be like, okay, it's not a perfectionist thing.
Yeah, it's not like you need to be perfect to be righteous. It's just you're on the road to righteousness. Like
that's where your heart posture is.
Right. It's like my heart is like, the process of sanctification is continuous. That's why, like, keep it a buck, like past your sin. In a way, we never fully arrive, but you should be better than you were before.
I agree.
And also, again, a righteous man falls. Like, you're going to stumble. You're going to mess up, and that's okay. God still loves you, but it's the desire to get back up that is admirable and exciting.
That's awesome because I was today years old when I realized we could be righteous.
Yeah.
I literally never.
You read the whole Old Testament. You know people were righteous, but did you think we couldn't be righteous?
Yeah. Like, I really thought righteous people were just people. I don't even know if I thought they were either appointed or Jesus himself. I never would have ever thought like, oh, Stella, you could be righteous. Like, you're righteous.
Yeah. But I don't think, like, obviously nobody's perfect. Even the righteous people in the Bible messed up.
I gotta. You're throwing me for a loop.
I'm sorry. But, like, so who can you think of as righteous? Like, I just read, like, the story of, not the whole story, because it's very long. I read the majority of the story of David in the Bible.
Yeah.
And homie messed up a few times, like, once he became king. Even on the road to king, I feel like there were some things I was like, I wouldn't have done that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but he was still righteous. He was still God's appointed one.
I think that's where it is in my head. I feel like only righteous people in my head are ones God appoints.
But we're all appointed by God to do something.
That would just hit me when I said that out loud. I'm going to say, well, my God today. That's what Lisa said.
That is what I said. Well,
right.
To bring this back to the whole character thing, I think the thing I feel like is the theme of this episode is like continuing to be yourself and continuing to grow as yourself through each stage of life and letting that person shine through and not being afraid to let that person shine through. What do you think?
That's my thought.
Thank
you guys so much for watching the Repost Pod today. You can catch us anywhere you listen or watch your podcasts.
Yeah, you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at the Repost Pod.
See you guys really, really soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I always say it like a newscaster. Bye-bye.
Also, when you say Stella Kittrell, it does give newscaster.
I get that from my mom. Do you know my mom, when she started content creation? Not that I ended the episode, but I would like you to keep this in here. Mm-hmm. My mom, when she was doing content creation, she talked like a news reporter. And I found out it's because in high school, she did the news. So she can't shake her newscaster voice.
Fair.
And I can't shake my 2016 influencer voice.
I don't think you have one of those.
Oh, girl, I do. Bye.